Yeah.
Okay, welcome back. Josh Anton here, public adjuster, host of the Growth Strategist podcast, where I share insights on business growth and spotlight industry leaders shaping the future of roofing and restoration. I've dedicated the last 12 years in insurance, storm restoration, collaborating closely with roofing and restoration companies across the nation. Today, I'm joined by Chad Roland, president of RTM Roofing out of Nashville, Tennessee. Chad's built a debt-free roofing company over the last 10 years, and he's also the host of Renovation Nation on SuperTalk 99.7, so he's no stranger being behind the mic. What I really respect about Chad's approach is he's built his business on trust and community, discounts for the military, first responders, Gold Star families. That tells you a lot how he operates. Chad, thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
How's Nashville treating you today? That Arctic blast is no joke.
We got power, but yeah, I'm just a little outside of Nashville, and no, we got a lot of ice. It's pretty rough out there.
Yeah, it's
A lot of ice damming going on right now.
man, I caught your show Saturday, the cold weather roofing segment, ice dams, mitigating damages, good stuff, great content, man.
I appreciate that.
And
Yeah, it's
congrats on the 10 years. That's a big deal.
it's wild to have gotten here. You know,
I
uh,
bet.
yeah, no, it's the ice dams are serious stuff, and it's usually more architectural stuff from the building than the roofing product. The roofing product gets it at the end, but the way they build them, sometimes it just round corners, round brick. Water's got to travel. It gets rough.
Honestly, it brought me back to my roofing sales. I actually started in roofing sales, and you know that feeling when you're up in a roof, you find a nail pop and then another nail pop, and
Snake bit.
you're thinking, oh shit, this one's going to be hard to get bought. Hopefully, there's some hail bruises on at least two slopes.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's a whole nother story when you get into the perception of what's hail and what's not. Right.
100%. I
Uh,
mean, they'll be able to classify the difference between a blister and a hail bruise. You know,
yeah,
it takes a minute to get that.
it does. I always call the blisters look like when you're flying an airplane over the Grand Canyon. It's real boxy and long, and it's real defined. When you see hail, I find that you'll see the spiral runoffs. It may look like a blister in the beginning, in the middle, if it actually knocked the granules off and didn't embed them all, but you'll see those offshoots.
Sure.
And then I go by the bruising of the hand. If you stretch your hand all the way out, you're touching it. Normally, a shingle feels like the outside of your hand. Like the
Right.
old meat thing, 1, 2, 3, or
Yeah.
how you do medium rare stuff. But when you push in the center of your palm, that's when you feel that indention. You feel that, I call it a bruise, and you touch all around the shingle and touch right there, and you feel the belly, and you see collateral damage. Usually you lean to more, that's not a blister, that's a hail hit, especially if you're
Correct.
seeing gutters and metals and all that stuff.
That collateral damage and that spatter, it's got to tell a story at the end of the
It
day, right?
Only one house about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, had inch and a half and 2-inch hail, and not a gutter was touched. Not a piece of siding was touched. The roof looked like a shotgun hit it of bathing
Wow.
spots. Yeah. Other than that, I would have swore that's not hail, except I had a picture of it from me.
Just to frame the call here for a minute, we're going to start with your background, see what's going on in roofing right now and roofing space. We'll talk about current challenges, where you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months, and then finally we'll wrap up exploring the next steps, and should take about 25-30 minutes. Does that sound like a plan?
Hey, man, I'm ready to go. Ready to go.
How did you end up starting RTM Roofing? You have a master's in agricultural science. That's not the typical path to roofing.
Yeah, well, I've done a little bit of everything under the sun to start with. I was a late bloomer, as they call them. Yeah, I went back to school in '07 to finish my degree after 14 years, and ended up getting my master's in plant science, which I didn't see coming. I get out of that, it's all government jobs and out of state, and I'm toured and played music for years, so I've seen a lot of the country. I live here in Middle Tennessee, so I called a buddy of mine and said, "Hey, you know everybody under the sun. Just crack the door open. I can do anything, and I need a job, or the wife's going to kill me." And he said, "Why don't you come over here and sell roofs for me?" He was recently at a place in Nashville. He was a general manager, and I said, "Who the H needs a roof? I've put them on. I've done everything inside of a house, outside of a house. I won't do brick or sheetrock again unless I'm starving." But I went and did it, and like a duck in water. And then about Well, by 2015, I always say the guts of the company started going a little south. It wasn't
Mhm.
his fault. And so I can ruin my own reputation. If I say you're getting a pink roof with white gutters and da da da, that's what you're going to get. And so I did the smartest and dumbest thing I've ever, that's truly a statistical impossibility is starting a roofing company. Everybody wants it for free. It's
Right.
it's it's a wild world. But nevertheless, started my own company and, we're here 10 years later just by doing certain things, some by luck and some by planning and some by the grace of God.
That's amazing stuff, man. What does a typical week look like for you now? You're running the company, you're hosting a radio show.
There's not enough hours in the day.
There
It's
never is, right?
careful what you wish for, I tell people. They always say the
Yeah.
grass is greener on the other side, but they never look straight down at their feet. It's like sometimes you're standing in pretty good grass and you don't
Yep.
realize it. Being a roofing company owner, being any owner, if you care about what you're doing, if you care about the people and do what's right or want to do what's right, it's a 24-hour day job on your mind. I'll lay down at night some nights and we're getting those, I call them frog killing rains, right? That'll kill frogs that I'll lay there and go, I could get 1,000 calls tomorrow from all past clients. That's a bad thought. I could get 1,000 calls tomorrow from all new clients. That's actually a worse because you never get to enough people in time and they will talk about you more than the ones that's got a leak that we going back up when that happens. But yeah, it's an interesting world in the roofing industry.
It really is, man. It's a cutthroat industry. I mean, it takes years to really master the business, and I mean, you're
Well,
always learning, right?
that's what it's about though, isn't it? It's running a business. Roofing is, I say it's not rocket science. To put a roof on is, it's put the nail here, starter, basic components, but it's managing the company, especially from a small sole proprietor or a little small LLC. The man's out there and wants his money is what I like to say. And if you're
Right,
not
right.
keeping up with stuff and cash flowing and watching your debt, if you have it, it can, well, like right now, we've got a quarter inch of ice and 2 inches of snow. We're not working this week. It's not getting out of the 20s. So you
No,
better
there's
manage for
no
that.
installs happening here for the next week or two in Nashville for you.
No, not unless you're using a very specific brands, and plus, we're not getting out of this.
Correct. Yeah, and
So
let's not you don't want to be climbing roofs in this mess.
yeah, no, no, don't do anything. That's what insurance is for. Is what I talk about. But there's a few
Exactly. I
tricks you
remember
can
you
do for
touching
us
on
things.
that on your show.
Yeah, there's an old trick an old man taught me though, but I may tell you later. But you can do some things to throw up on your roof to melt that ice a little bit in ice damming. But if you want me to tell you, I will.
Sure, let's go.
It's he said, son, your wife's probably got some pantyhose. Get you some rock salt, make them the size of a big Idaho potato, and throw them up in that valley. And it will start to melt it, as the ice, if it's above certain temperatures, you can at least eliminate right there at your gutter where the dam starts. So you can get the underflow of water and get on out of there. I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty smart.
that's actually quite clever.
It's pretty clever. And I was like, well, okay. Yeah,
I have to mention that back to my family back in Chicago.
well, you were talking about you're always learning something new. That day, that was something new I'd never heard
Yeah,
about.
I can imagine.
I'd never heard about that. But go ahead.
And speaking of the Renovation Nation, what made you want to start a radio show? And I'm sure that's impacted your business.
Yeah, it's my main marketing tool. That it is my main marketing tool. I started out my
Right.
company, taking cards everywhere, leave them in bars, leave them in restaurants, put them out that way. Then they called me and asked if I want to do an hour show, and I'm like, I don't know if I can talk an hour. And I played music for years, and so I was like, well, I'm paying the same amount for these amount of commercials. Now I'll get 4 to 5 hours of radio time
Hmm.
and additional commercials. It was in one of those risk reward no brainers. Even if it didn't work, it was worth the try and worth the risk. And but the return on investment on it is pretty amazing. And then you get into our top three funnels, if you will, are Renovation Nation, repeat customers, and customer referrals.
Nice.
That's our main marketing now. You were saying earlier, there's two types of capitalist models in roofing, right? The door knocking method. That's some companies, that's all they do. And, God bless them. And then and that's also go borrow some money, hire a bunch of people, throw them out there and let's go. And then, or you just start off where you start off. And then when you're getting ready to always say eat a bullet because you're just working so many hours and everybody, just the small group, you hire
Yeah,
somebody. Yeah. Renovation Nation has played a large part of RTM roofing of getting us out there. 100%.
that's awesome, man. Congrats again on that.
Thank you.
Um, talk about industry trends in Nashville market. I mean, what kind of shifts are you seeing in the roofing space right now, whether in Nashville industry wide? I know that the city of Nashville and part of Tennessee, I mean, it's been booming for years. How has that growth affected your business, both opportunities and challenges?
I was actually talking about this the other day. In 2019, 2020, even after COVID and all that, there was a certain amount of roofers around here, right? Nashville was exploding.
Right.
But then last year we discovered, me and my general manager doing some research, we're like, what's going on? Because 24 was sort of a downslope,
Okay.
just a little bit, mainly in insurance work. Retail too, a little, but not as much as in insurance. Then last year it was still going that way. And we're like, wait a minute, what's happening? What are we doing wrong? Let's look at this. And we discovered, if I'm correct, I may not be exactly correct on my numbers, but it was like 420 something new roofing companies were licensed or in the state on the state website in 2024. I mean, from 2023 to 2024 of April was 420 new ones. And they're not all over the state. It's Nashville, Middle Tennessee,
Right.
and then you got Knoxville and, a couple other cities, but
Sure.
mainly I'd say 300 of them ish are in Nashville now or surrounding counties. And when storms come through, which we're mainly retail, but we do a lot of insurance work, that the normal insurance calls we would get had already been, I call it like locust. Goes through a cornfield, and we're getting calls on the last couple stocks out there because the door knocking days have changed from when I started. It was door knocking. That's when I got in the roofing. You only knocked when you saw wind damage. Hail damage was one thing, but it's hard. You can't see hail damage from the ground very rarely. You can at times if it's bad enough, but around here, you don't usually look at a roof and go, that's got a hail damage. But
Yeah.
they knock every door, every door. And everybody wants a free roof, and we don't do free inspections. We do complimentary inspections. We give them to you because it takes time and money.
Nothing's
You can,
free in life. I like complimentary over free any
it,
time of the day.
and that's the problem. You see free everywhere, and what's people do with free? They complain about it and ask for some more. It's uh, no one appreciates something they don't have some skin in the game on. Is what I've realized. And that's the wild psychology of roofing sales, is the people that don't want to buy it. It's easy to sell a free roof if insurance is buying it. That's the easiest job in the world. But as you know, or I'm assuming that the industry of insurance, it changes every year, and it's wild right now, meaning your roof could be laying over in the neighbor's yard and they're going to repair 380 shingles. I'm like, which ones? You know,
No, for sure. And I tell you, it's on the insurance side. As a public adjuster, I'm seeing, carriers they get tighter every year, man. They get more difficult with respect to exclusionary language. It's just getting out of hand. You've got the cosmetic damage exclusion. I mean, 3, 5, sometimes I've seen actually in Texas, 10%
deductibles.
deductibles.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, it's hard to obtain a good settlement for the policyholder. Restrictive policies, I call them.
Mhm.
I would say, the GCs, the roofers, the restoration companies out there that they document everything up front. Those are the ones that winning. The ones that something's damaged, you got to prove it. You got to present it correctly to the carrier, right?
Right. Well, there's some of that. Then there's also some ownership on the adjusters coming out. They're the professionals too. Now they get told by the higher ups what's this and what's that to a point. But I sort of get tired of the second inspections. It's like when you go out there and you've got a 14-year-old 3-tap that's the wind damage blown off, and now it's a game. It really is. And I always say too, remember I said free, people most times when they're buying insurance are just looking at the monthly payment or the total. You get what you pay for. I mean, insurance is expensive, and I have a $5,000 deductible because I'm not going to file for less than that anyways. If it's going to at least be 10 or 20 or 30 for a file. But my point is, insurance isn't your maintenance company anymore either. That's part of the problem. Is
Yeah.
no one gets the roofs inspected. I mean, they maintenance everything in their life but their roof, and the roof is the one reason they got a mortgage, because you can't get a mortgage without a roof. And that building is, for all practical purposes, is most people's biggest investment in their wealth and
Which
everything
on
they
the
own
carrier
underneath.
side, that's when the term neglect
Yep.
comes in a little bit.
I can understand that if I'm paying out money. I mean, you maintenance your car better than your roof. And I'm not being on the insurance side here. I'm not advocating for the insurance's angle, but everybody's got some ownership. right? The insurance got some ownership when that shingle's blown off and it's not repairable. If their policy says RCV, then that's what it is. But the homeowner also has to change oil, rotate the tires, get a timing belt. If the engine blows because you didn't put oil in it, there's no warranty and the insurance isn't buying you a new car.
No, that's a good analogy. I always tell my clients, remember the insurance companies, these carriers at the end of the day, they're a for-profit business. Therefore, they're in business to make money. So if they can find a reason not to pay, they're not going to pay.
They're also under contract. You're under contract with their client to pay if there's damage,
That's
right?
right.
Yeah, it's a mutual thing. Very few people get up in the morning, very, very few, and look at their spouse and say, "Hey, we've got $20,000. Let's go roof shopping." They'll get up and say,
Yeah,
"Let's go buy a boat. Let's go
that
do
doesn't
this."
happen.
It's no one's been trained about the roof. They call their HVAC company twice a year. And there's nothing wrong with it, and they pay a fee for that. When I say there's nothing wrong with it, it's an encapsulated system. It either works or it doesn't.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't do preventive maintenance and get inspected. Why not your roof? I don't know why they didn't do it that way. I guess roofing's the stepchild of the bunch or something. I don't know.
The redheaded stepchild, right?
Yeah, maybe it is, but we have less than 1% callback ratio. And about 75, 85% of that wasn't our issue, but we still take care of clients. It's not always a roof leak.
Nice. I mean, that's you're establishing that relationship, that rapport with your clients, and that's important. I mean, if you just coming in to file a claim on their behalf and get the insurance money, I mean that's you get a lot
And,
of the
and
bad
don't do
apples out
repairs.
there.
Yeah, and don't do repairs. I mean, we do repairs and replacements. We do soffit fascia, siding, chimney cap, skylights. We're actually getting into something new this year, spring of 2026. But
IA, independent adjuster, and FA field adjuster out there at the property at the lost location. What is your approach? It's claim departments. I mean, they're understaffed. I mean, some of these guys and gals, they've got 150 plus files. I mean,
yep,
how do you
first
handle
meeting,
pushback with them?
first meeting, or after they've been out.
I would say first and foremost, that first inspection, no,
Mhm.
not so much those re-inspections, because you and me both know those re-inspections are, I mean, the claim's
50-50.
already been through the system for months on end,
Yeah,
they're,
there's still
uh,
hope, but it really needs to be there. I learned a long time ago that as soon as I made an adjuster, I'll say, "Hey, nice to meet you. I hadn't met you before." I said, "I just want you to know I treat all you guys or ladies like school teachers. No matter how high I jump up and down, you're not going to change my grade. It is what it is." The last thing I'm going to do is get up there and start pointing. I'll say, especially for the guys that or ladies that see me before or any of our guys, I'll say, "Hey, I'm seeing this and this and this up there. Call me if you need me." You set up a ladder, and a lot of them can't because of protocols. But nevertheless, it's like I'll be down here at the car. Do your job. No one likes you over their shoulder. I mean, even when I'm doing an inspection, no one likes you. So I just let them do their deal, and then if it gets subjective, then I'll give my input. But also, the industry has changed where back in the day, adjusters had a little more power. And now they'll, on the side go, "Hey, I'm turning this in for replacement," and it comes back 380 shingles because they got their teeth pulled somewhere and it's somewhere in a cubicle. Somebody's looking at a screen going, "That's not damage."
yeah, you know what? For example, State Farm back in the day, I remember the good old days showing up at an initial adjustment, and these guys would hand you the chalk and say, "Here, go find damage."
Go do it. Go do
Those
it.
days are long gone.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's a 12-12. I can't get up there.
Yeah,
Let me get you pictures. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that actually was pretty common being in Chicago. Some of these 10, 12, 12, 12s, 3 stories.
Oh,
Some of these guys would show up and be like, "I'm not climbing up
yeah.
in that.
I
Here,
them.
go find
Me either.
damage."
Me either. Got it. Let's get out of here. There's shingles on the ground. But it is. But see, that's the deal. It's there's humans involved. You can have the same company, no matter who it is, one adjuster, and on the same street, equal damage. One guy or one lady says, "Boom, yeah, that's replacement." And the next one's repair, and you're like, "Where's the?" Because everybody sees things differently,
Where's that
unless it's
disconnect really
obvious.
coming from, right?
Yeah, unless it's just completely obvious. If the roof is in the neighbors, that's a no-brainer, meaning the whole roof. But sometimes if you don't have a lot of collateral damage, maybe you've got a couple pops here or there, it gets subjective, and then you go back to which carrier is it.
Well,
That's really
that
where that's a lot.
absolutely. No, I
And
mean,
what price
obviously, which
point is
carrier?
your
There's so
policy?
many components there,
Yeah, there's a lot of
right? I
variables.
mean, I always look at, where is this individual coming from? Did he or she just get off a roof with some knucklehead uh, public adjuster or roofer that really didn't know what they were doing and was pointing out everything, the tail damage and this and that. And, they're just coming from a bad experience. So you never know
Yeah.
where they're coming from when you meet them.
Well,
Maybe
they
it's
may
your
arrive
first
there from
appointment
a
for the day.
That's right, and then I've had adjusters come out, and they end up saying it's a repair or not doing what it should have been. I get it back, and we'll do a second inspection, and it's really wild when the same one comes out, right? That's
Oh, yeah,
normally
that's always a
that's good and bad. It can be good and bad. In this case, it was good because he got back out and he was like, "Man, I had a long day the other day. I can't believe I missed this. I wasn't even we're human." And he corrected it. And I was no problem. And listen, I tell all my team, we're not heart surgeons, right? It's a roof.
right.
That's important. But, it's things happen. It's how you handle it after something happens. That's where I call integrity comes into play.
Sure.
Was you wrong? Admit it. If and there's nothing wrong with admitting it. There's no scouts in the stands over here. No
Yeah.
one's going pro because of your performance here. So yeah, it is what it is. It really is. Like I just told me one time, I'm gonna get up there. If it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. And it's that simple, but it gets complicated because both on the insurance side and the roofing side, the waters are muddy now. They're muddier than they ever have been.
They really are, and it can get overcomplicated so easily these days.
And everybody, it's hard to have a conversation anymore, right? Because it's all in emails and text or whatever, and there's no context in that. I'm not yelling at you when I say, hey, and send you pictures showing you holes in the shingle. You want me to repair that? Yeah, go out. And then they say, go out and prove it's non-repairable. And I'm like,
Yeah.
where did that go to the roofing company? First, you don't trust what we're saying, and now you're telling us to go do it. And I'm like, that should be some ownership on the other end. But then
Sure.
again, flip it back. They say it's repairable and it's not, it's over. Yeah, it's just, hey, sometimes you're fishing a barrel.
I mean, it's a 15-year-old architectural. It's obviously discontinued. It's not repairable. But
Oh,
yet,
yeah.
the carrier still wants to argue saying that, "Oh, well, we found a similar
Similar.
product
Yeah.
of like or."
So you've got to indemnify it. You got to make it equal or greater value.
That's right.
So now we're in a conundrum, but not really because that shingle's no longer made. Give the generic Exactimate pricing or in-house pricing, whatever it is, and let's go.
Sure.
I'm not negative Nancy, but it is a different world. It's changed. I got in this industry on this side of it in 2011, 2011, into early 2012. It's not the same world I entered, not in roofing. I mean, the products they've gotten better. The labor's just as good, but the industry as itself is sort of like Nashville, just changed.
It is, man. It's a completely different world. I think there's a reputation component there that some of these guys are worried about if they start buying everything left and right with respect to the IA firm they're working with. They could have that relationship with that specific carrier, their client, with respect to they only have a certain amount of leverage to be
Yeah.
buying everything left and right. So you got to consider that component too. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know.
Well, I always say the best time to file if you've got that damage is during a catastrophic storm. You get the cat adjusters in, right? And I don't know this to be true. It's just the way I've always seen it. They come out here. If I'm a cat adjuster for X company, I've got a $500,000 budget, right? That's what I'm able to ride up to, right? This is what I make up. And then they come in, and of course, if neighborhoods are damaged, and it's one of these bad hailstorms. That he's done pretty quickly. Might get extended, but then I always call it the blood clotters. Here they come, right? And I've run into a couple, and I'm not going to mention the company, but this one I'll never forget because I ended up running into him on about 4 houses in 2012. Huge storm and 60,000 structures damaged in Nashville. But I ran into him in 4, and all 4 he denied, and all 4 were
Oh,
just
here we go.
beat to death. He came back second inspection, right?
Oh, I've had many similar experiences. Yeah, go
And
ahead.
I looked at him. I said, I finally, like after the 3rd one, I looked at him. I said, "Have you bought anything yet?" And he just grinned at me. And I was like, nah. And I ran into him again. As soon as I saw him, I was just like,
I can't tell you how many times I've had that same thing happen. And you'll see that same individual like a couple weeks down the road, and
you'll
then the
know.
following year.
Yeah.
You've never really, it's never been a good end result with these folks. So, it's not going to be. I try to go in as optimistic as possible, thinking, well, perhaps this is going to go a little bit of a better way, but it doesn't.
Oh, I've ran in the same. And some of these people, I'm like, you should be an accountant. you're way too analytical and looking at all this like that's a hell hit. That's a wind damage. Like I said, it is a game in the end. And sometimes it is fish in the barrel and it's just your turn. It's crazy, but it's true.
It is very true.
Like getting a speeding ticket. You drive perfect all your life and wasn't even speeding, got pulled over, but got a ticket. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes.
For sure. What, you guys, let's say, I mean, obviously it's the competitive nature. Just to jump back a bit, this policy, this homeowner's 5 quotes on their kitchen table. Why do they, what do you guys do differently for them to pick RTM?
One of two things. It all depends on where we landed in 1 to 5 to start with. Whether first there, last there.
Right.
And it's sort of the same. It no matter really where you're at. But what I'm getting at is whoever comes before us better be as detailed as we are when going over and looking at your home.
Sure.
Because we just don't look at the roof. We look at everything because your whole house tells a story. If I look at your windows and see the caulking is deteriorated, before I even get on your roof, I already have an idea of what I'm going to be seeing up there.
Right.
If you're not even looking at that at eye level, you're definitely not taking care of something that's getting 24/7. And I try to leave it where somebody comes behind me that if they're as detailed as we are, or I am in certain cases, or whatever relationship I built with the client, it'll come down to who they like better personally, right? But most times I find a lot of, and I was that way earlier. I'm not knocking these people. They're just blowing and going, right? They're just coming in files. You got damage. They'll circle it.
Yeah,
And I get it.
right?
It's that feast or famine, but
Yeah.
that's what will separate when I want people to get 4 or 5 estimates. Hey, don't just believe me, get 4 or 5 and just at least give me a last talk so we can look at ROI and the benefit analysis of like, what are they doing versus what we doing, when it comes to the end. But yeah, you can't make an educated decision with one choice. You at least need 2, and that's 50-50. Actually, one's 50-50, and then it goes all the way down to about 4 choices. After you got 4 to 5 choices, you got a high 90 percentile chance of making the correct choice.
Very nice.
I like competition, actually.
Yeah, no, it's good. It makes you, keeps you on your toes, man.
It does. And it
If
makes
this
you
business
humble.
was easy, everybody would do it.
Hey, I sell a little differently too. I mean, don't get me wrong, we'll talk about products, but I'm selling me. It's, number one, if I don't like you bad enough, I'm not selling to you, even if you want to go with me. It's a relationship. I'm still good friends with clients I didn't end up closing for whatever reason, but I'm still friends with them because we already developed a relationship before it even got that far. We have a 5-year labor warranty on our work. So for the next 5 years, we need to know each other, and all that kind of good stuff.
It's a great way to look at it. Build that. You want to build that clientele basis, and you want to have that customer for life.
It's a relationship. That's why we do 3 to 4 to 1 repairs versus replacements. If it's repairable, we'll repair it. If you're going to put $1,500 in a house and a big tune-up, you better at least get 5+ years out of that to get your money back. If not,
Sure.
I'll tell people I wouldn't put a dime in this. Like if it's got damage and it's that bad, I wouldn't put a dime in this before I had my insurance company out, no matter what they do. I rate claims when you go to that side of 50-50 to 80-20. 50-50 is a Hail Mary. Hey, I've seen adjusters come out, not get on the roof, look up and say, I'm buying it. And I've seen some come out and it's beat to death and they're not buying it. So
It's that human element. Once again, back to where we were talking about, that seems to be missing too. And get to know your clients, man.
yeah, you got to, because I mean, like I said, you're going to be with them for a while. You should. And that's where
Yeah.
your future clients come from. Maybe another storm comes. Maybe you only did a repair. Then a storm comes, or you've budgeted them to be prepared for the roof. Everybody
Right.
saves up for everything but the roof. As soon as you get a new roof, you should be budgeting for the next one. At least have your deductible build up. If not, the roof only makes it 16 years. Well, you got 16 years of savings, so it ain't going to be 35,000 out of your pocket. It's going to be 12, right? That's a lot better than 35 because not everybody hits with a storm.
Right. Yeah. You don't always have that opportunity.
No. And you
Um,
shouldn't expect a free roof anyways. You don't expect anything else in your life free. You don't expect free car, free boat, free karate lessons. You would go, that's crazy. But
It's a
roof,
simple perspective, but you're right on it. I mean, that's 100%. What's working well for you right now operationally? What's been the most frustrating part? Which metrics are you most focused on improving here in 2026?
well, I always say we're one of the most computerized roofing companies in the state. I've been in computers since 1978. My father, who's the first one to bring it to Tennessee schools, computer programming in 1980 or 79 or 80. And I'm more of a hardware guy. I'm a little dangerous in software, but hardware. And my general manager was a software guy.
Okay.
So it's efficiency, right? I like AI. I'm a big fan of AI. It's a double-edged sword. You can't do AI for everything, but I see where it's going down the road. maybe 4, 5, 10 years, depending on what it is, where it goes. But we just try to find multiple touch points at times to back everybody up, right? Because four eyes are better than two, six eyes are better than four along the way. And then, but make it efficient so you're not scanning paper. We don't use paperwork anymore. I mean, unless we're printing it out for something. It's all digital. I mean, we're in 2026. I
Right.
mean, so no, we just try to, well, after this many years, let me rewind. After this many years of being in business, we've learned what to track. And as I always say, I don't count pennies when they don't add up to an hour of my time. My time's not cheap to me. And I'm not going to waste my time on the super micro. But when all of a sudden your operations department has been still sending out caulk and you've been pre-stocking it because you can save $2 or $3 a tube, and you're
Mhm.
using, well, after I discovered it, $22,000 in a year of caulk that got thrown away. Well, that adds up to more than an hour of my time. And so you don't know what you don't know sometimes, but you better keep your eye on the prize and be open to always be looking. It again, like I said earlier, it's one thing to be a salesman, but it's another to be a business owner, roofing or not. There's a lot of responsibility, or you're going to get your tail handed to you. And it won't be the client. It'll be the IRS coming in or work comp. That's two people you don't want to make mad. One of
No,
them,
you really
one of them will
don't.
shut you down. The other one shut you down, take your stuff, and throw you in jail. I've turned into the old Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn guy. I'm either going to do it right and do it to the best of my ability, or I'll do something else. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it.
You've built RTM as a debt-free company. That's not too common in this business. Was that intentional from the start, or did you learn that lesson the hard way?
Oh, the hard way. I mean, it was intentional to start, but I learned it previously because I've always got, my wife calls me a Renaissance man. I'm always doing a little something. I've started multiple little businesses and I thought I failed, but I actually learned something from them. I was sitting with my wife one night and when I first met her, and it's like 2017, 2018. I said, man, I wish I'd have known about this years ago. I was telling her about roofing this and I said, this is, wow, what a gig. Who thought this, And she just looked at me and said, you weren't ready then. It took going through all of that accumulation of what I called failure, but it wasn't a failure. Actually, it's not a failure if you learn something from it. Right.
Agreed. Yeah.
So I call it, I don't believe in luck. I've been blessed. It's a blessing and a curse. Let me put it that way.
Sure.
But these younger guys jumping into roofing, yeah, they understand this and that, and they don't get business and work comp, for example. If you're using subcontractors and you don't have their insurance deck sheet, that's 30 to 35 cents for every dollar you pay them at the end of the year when you get audited. And when you've paid a roofing crew $500,000, and all of a sudden you get a $250,000 work because it's an adjustment to your policy. It's not a fine, sir. It's an adjustment. It's those small things. If you don't catch on the front end, that will shut you down. The biggest thing about an owner that I've learned is you've got to give up power at some point. You can start off by yourself, great, but at some point you can't do it all. And the main thing that I do at my company, even though I do a lot of different, me and my general manager, Dwayne Reed, it's my right arm, that we wear 30 hats, I always say. But the one main hat I wear is the payroll and banking. Now, do I do payroll? No. But am I in charge of the banking of it going out? Yes.
Yes. Of
Do my
course.
people send me information? Yes. But I hold that tight 'cause it's the old Willie Nelson deal. It's like you've all of a sudden owe $1 million to the IRS because your manager was funneling money out and you had no idea. I'll end with this. When I first started, my wife met me. She walked into my house and there was like 5 whiteboards just all down the hall because I was visual. I'm a visual guy. So I had all my stuff. Here's my personal stuff. Here's work. Here's bills. Here's what I'm selling. Here's what's going on. So I could see the picture, right? Well, there comes a time that when you get somebody doing your books, you're not doing them yourselves. I can show you a report and make you look like $1 million and you ain't got a penny in the bank if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
That's your biggest. Protect your investment, right? And then delegate power. And that's a whole nother show because that's variables of people nowadays that I always joke. I'll be like, hey, we're going to go outside, walk across the grass and go in the driveway. Well, one person going through. The other one, I don't walk in grass. The other one, I can't shut the door. It's like all we're doing is walking out there and going to stand and talk. But that's the part of a business owner too is you've got multiple personalities to deal with, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm good at that. I'm not. I'm really not. But you got to be at some point better than 50%, or you're not going to have anybody around.
How big is your team right now? I know that finding good people in this business can be brutal. I mean, you guys, how do you find and keep good crews and PMs?
I am
What
well.
do you look for when you're hiring?
People that's going to do what's right. I learned I started my company in 2015. 2018, we broke a million. Now, when I left sales, I was selling 1 to 2 million a year in sales at a previous company, and broke a million in 18. Did 3.6 in 19. Did 4.9 actual work done. We did more than that, like 5.4, but 4.9 in 20. In 2021, I took it back to 2.7.
Mm,
Why? Because it's a double bell curve. I learned that no one, I guess there's some class out there that teaches you this, but I didn't know it and had to learn it. Is that next down slope is hiring. And if you think about it, just roughly, if you got $1 million in sales, if you end up what, 5 to 7 to 8 to 10% gross pre-tax after everything, you're killing it. Well, that's just $100,000. Well, if you have to hire a field manager and they're 70, 80 grand a year or more, or a truck and this and that, or you got 135,000 investment in a field manager, not just cash, meaning to the person, but overall to the company. That means you got to do 2 million for that one person if you really want to start increasing. So I was like, until you get up to 7 million, then you're making money with the people you had to hire on the way back down. Right. I say way down, go up to 3.5, and then you start coming down because you're hiring and your money's going out by hiring. When you get to 7.75, that's when you exponentially made more than at 3.6. But I didn't want that many more gates left open because I finally realized it's not quantity, it's quality.
sure.
So maybe we raise our numbers a little bit. You can't raise it a lot because you got 400 roofers out there you're going against, but you can. And it's not always about the money. Again, I'll go back to we have less than average of 1% or less in callbacks. And there's a reason for that. It wasn't in 2020 because we were doing 10 roofs a week and 45 repairs a week. It was insanity. But it's not that I wouldn't go back there. It's like I found my niche, and I'm just I'm different than a lot of people, I think. Some people say I'm crazy, but I say sometimes I'm crazy like a fox. But you got to have a life too. We're talking business and making money and all that, and that's all fine and dandy, but you can't take any of this away. And if all somebody's job is 80 hours a week, not seeing their family, then what's it's really about? What's it really about?
That work-life balance is important, my friend.
100%. And that's what keeps good employees, good subcontractors, good everybody around you. My wife always says your vibe attracts your tribe, and it does. But if people feel like, even though, we don't do profit sharing, I just do big bonuses when people are doing it right. Right. So, but they still feel part ownership. And that's what I want. I want them to wake up. I want to wake up and want to do my job. Right. You've talked about, I think in the email to me, how not to burn out. I'm amazed I'm not burned out within 10 years, much less in this year. And it's all about that. It is a balance, but it's not just your balance. It's the people that you're employing's balance too. They've got a life. They're not slaves. And capitalism sometimes has a way of showing them that way. And I didn't like it when I was on that side of it. And that's why I don't approach it now from my method.
Got a great perspective of especially years in the business and being able to fine tune.
Because you're always selling yourself, but you learn, it's the old rule, treat people like you want to be treated. Right. And it's not all about the money. Why are you paying them that much? They'll ask me. I'm like, because I don't have to do it. If I did it, that's what I'd be paying me on top.
Right.
So no, that's letting up something, unless you just stay under a million, right? Million a year in sales, you can be a real small company, really efficient and make really good money and do really good work. But most people, they forget that the business money isn't their money. Right. That's the biggest thing you got to learn too. Because when you're an LLC or sole proprietor, you're not taking taxes out on yourself. It's called a draw to the company.
Right.
And that's where people, as my CPA told me, once we broke over a million in sales and we're doing 2.5 million. I was like, hey, well, how do I mitigate my taxes? He goes, Chad, let me tell you something. I've got clients that'll buy 10 grand in Beanie Babies. Let's say that's what they can do or whatever. Put them in their attic, just not to pay the man 5 grand. Now, if you need the Beanie Babies and can make it increase your wealth of your company, do that. That's a good write-off. But if it doesn't, pay the man 5 grand, take your 5 grand left out of that 10 and do whatever the heck you want with it instead of just putting it in the attic. That's a big deal, because again, you nailed it earlier. We're not just talking about installing a roof and selling a roof. We're talking about running a company and doing that and keeping the whole machine working.
that well-oiled machine, it takes a minute to get
If
that,
it doesn't shut you down or kill you, you should learn something from it and make you stronger. Other than that, it's pretty wild. It's fun though. I don't, hey, go out and start something. What's worse that happens? If you fail, okay, go start something else.
agreed. I mean, you only learn and prevail by experience. You're gonna fuck up. You
100%,
will.
100. I tell all my people, even when I'm hiring them, that hey, you're going to make mistakes. I expect you to make mistakes. Just don't make the same one twice.
Correct.
Right? Learn something, and
100%.
and that's where you start seeing how your people are doing and how you're doing. Because by the way, as an owner, you got to remember you got to be self-disciplined to tell yourself that too, and that's a hard thing to do. Is put yourself in the box. Just because you're the owner doesn't mean it's always heavy as a crown. Every now and then you get to swing it. That's the fun part. I am taking
Yeah.
off today. Whatever. No, it's usually heavy as the crown because it's a responsibility, especially when you've got people you're employing that they don't have your perspective. As my general manager told me one time when I was like, he was telling me about something. And I was like, why are they doing that? You're just sitting there like, why? 2 and 2 is 4. And he goes, Chad, these are good people, but it's just a job to them. This is our life, right? Because I'm fully invested in RTM. Of course I am. But to most people, like it was me back in the day, it's just a job. It's an ends to the means. Do your job, do it good, and then go live your life. That's something owners need to remember too, that you once were that way too.
This is great insight. Where do you want RTM to be from 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, that's a good one. Well, of course, still here. Number one, I'll start there.
First and
'Cause,
foremost, right?
yeah, because any moment, life happens, stuff happens. But no, I expect us to continue our growth, become even more efficient than we are now, and keep doing good work and keep spreading the word and help people that need a hand up, not a hand out. Like I tell my sales guys, we have margins we got to be at, but we go down to certain levels for people that need help, right? Because that when you're getting the 45% margins or whatever in insurance, and you all of a sudden got something that's going to come in 20 because they don't, have a dime to their name. It just whatever their problem is, right? But it's a real problem, not a manufactured one. Then that's where we help offset costs too, because we don't always just do charity work. I don't like giving my money to certain companies and see what they do with it. I like doing with it myself. So that's where we try to keep going and helping people.
Very nice.
Again,
If you could solve one major challenge today, remove one bottleneck, what would it be?
Well, all right, I'll say this. It may be a little right field. I wish I was in my 30s because knowing what I know now, I would become part of the roofing lobby or something like that
Okay.
to get into the insurance lobby.
I like it.
And I know there's a lot of variables here, but my quick high level is if people like Allstate, right? If you don't have a claim, you're reducing savings, all that no claim discount, right? Well, why couldn't it be have a professional roofer, non-door knocked? And I don't mean that they're not professional. I mean, not just somebody knocking on your door. You schedule like you do your HVAC twice a year for your roofing inspection, and we'll save you X on your insurance each year. Now that gets with this industry of ours, or actually in any industry, you get into, well, that company might do that. Yeah, but overall, it's in the best interest of the insurance company to know you have a good roof. Because I've had clients where they come out and do their inspections, right? Because the insurance will do that every now and then and say, hey, when your renewal comes, we're not renewing you unless you get a new roof. That's a shock. They can do that. So why can't they say, hey, we can't make you get an inspection each year, but if you do, and it's a qualified company and all that fine print, send us their report, and that's like a no claim discount, right? That's what I would be pushing the industry to do. It's not what I would change here or there. I would change the whole paradigm is where I'd want to go. Because get it in people's mind, I remind all of our clients after we get to the certain point of like each year, it's not my job to call you to get your inspection. It's your job to call me. So when you call, just to make it easy, when you call your HVAC in the spring, call us or wait to the fall, depending on what the yearly thing is, but get it on your calendar, get in the routine. Because I promise you, I could sell ACs easier than roofs because people do not mind spending when they get the dopamine dump. They'll spend $50,000 on a bathroom. You'll tell them, then they'll renovate all that. Then they'll get a stain on their ceiling. I'll go out there and go, hey, this roof is 21 years old. It's dead. It's $28,000. And they'll go, 28. And I'm like, you just spent 50 on a bathroom or a kitchen.
This day and age, everybody's looking for that quick dopamine hit, right?
Well, you can't. It's like a new vehicle with a roof. When they get a new roof, they'll see every imperfection of their structure. It's like a new car. You'll see the first scratch. You don't see the second. But again, 1 out of 500 or 1,000 people leave their driveway and look back every morning, look back at the roof and go, oh, it's time for a roof inspection. Yeah, it's like 0.5 out of 500. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
there's a low
changing. It's
percentage
changing the
there, that's for sure.
psychology. That's what I would want to change, and that will only change on a big macro level, right? And then you'll work it out as it goes down, like we do everything. That's what I would change.
Where do you come up with your content every week? Do you ever run out of stuff to talk
How
about?
do I do my show? It's usually about 20 minutes or down to the 3 minutes before I go live. I'll cat scratch some stuff. Like I've got stuff written down on my paper now just so I wouldn't forget. And I'm not used half of it. I just get to talking. And it's like music. It's like playing music. You want to throw up before the show. I'm a procrastinator. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do a lot of times unless it's somebody I'm interviewing. And Renovation Nation, I call it it's a show like Seinfeld. It's a show about nothing until we turn it into something, right?
Sure.
That was always a Seinfeld kick. It was always him starting off, then what was the drama of the day? That's what we do. And the reason it's Renovation Nation and not roofing 101 or all that stuff, because it's not about just roofing. It's about just information and knowledge. And part of the success of this show, in my opinion, this is nothing to, well, it is something to do with me, but I'm not this type of guy that if you're old enough to remember F. Hutton, right? I'm just not annoying enough for you to turn the channel. And every now and then when people are listening, they don't turn the channel, they'll tune out, but then all of a sudden they'll hear something and tune back in. That's a lot of comments I get from people. They don't listen to the show the whole 60
Hey,
minutes,
listen,
but
you
it's
caught
long.
my attention. You started, like I said, you brought me back to my early roofing sales days, but your other topics, man, I wanted to continue listening. Even though I had you as a podcast guest, I'm thinking you had great content, brother.
Man, it's just being a musician, man, for years. Like I said, I've played in front of 0 people, and other than bartenders, that was all that was there. And I played in front of 30,000 people, but I try to explain, you don't know what you don't know, and it really sucks when there's a lot of zeros on the end of it when you find out. I try to save zeros for people just from my screw ups, my thinking I know what I'm doing, and trying to save a dime and spend $10 for everyone you did. I've done that, and that's why I understand when people don't want to pay the money. But it's my job to go, look, I was there too, and here's what I've learned because of that. Don't go through that level because in the end, it just costs you money and time. It's not the end of the world, but why go through that again? And that's why I say you make a mistake once, don't make the same one twice. Don't make a mistake here because you'll learn after this. Yeah, I promise you, when you get big enough hits in that pocket, it sort of imprints on the back of your mind that I've seen this before, And so anyway,
I appreciate you sharing all of this. This is great real world insight people need to hear, man. This is awesome.
yeah. And like I said, we're live on SuperTalk 997 and WTN in Nashville every Saturday, 11 to 12. But what I started doing, and probably I guess how you found me, because I was curious about that. Being a musician, sound guy, guitar player, built a studio during 2020, and mainly for music, but it's good radio write off. But marketing, hey, you got to learn how to do write offs. That I said, well, hey, I've got all the sound gear, right? Why don't I add some cameras? And since I'm already doing this show, why not film it? Because I know we hadn't gotten into a lot of stuff today, but about marketing, where's marketing going, right? TikTok wasn't here 10 years ago. Then it came out. Now, if you're just doing that, okay, you can make some money, but you're with the herd. Where are we going? And that's the thing about roofing companies they don't get that I see. They're just doing what they're doing today and it's working, but where's it going next? How do you separate your company, like going to a bar where there used to be your top 4, your Buds, your Millers, and you had a couple crafts. Well, now you
Mhm.
walk in and there's 45 crafts and I'm coming in to sell a new beer to the bar. How do you distinguish yourself in that? Because that's
Well,
where social marketing is now.
much different dynamic nowadays.
Yeah, because it's everybody's on it. It was good in the beginning, so we're really looking into where is it going? Yeah, what is the next step of marketing digitally, right? Because we got the platforms, and like I said, it's so flooded now, especially in our market. I pull up Facebook, yep, Nashville or something. Will all of a sudden say, "Hey, I've got a roofing problem. Who do you suggest?" And it'd be in about 20 minutes, there'd be about 10 names. It'd be like 20 comments and a lot of the same names. Now in 20 minutes, the other day I looked at one, there was like 88 comments. No 2 were the same. I didn't even put our information in. I didn't want to be associated with that. So we're looking at different ways now. I've brought the video in of doing different stuff. And that's where we're going to start leading more to our website and YouTube, which you can find us at A Standard Conversation. or just Google RTM Roofing.
Wanted to mention beyond the podcast and my public adjusting work, I've been working with implementing AI systems for roofing and restoration companies, like tightening follow-up so deals don't die, improving estimate to close rates, lead gen campaigns, reducing operational drag without adding headcount. This network that I'm connected to it's unlike anything I've seen before, especially with the AI. I mean, it's everywhere, right?
Mhm,
The founder of this company was featured in Forbes. Essentially, we're the bridge for companies that want to use AI,
mhm.
but don't know where to start. Or if you're already using it, we analyze what you've got, see how it's performing, and make it more efficient. If you're open to it, man, I'd like to discuss, maybe I can help you out down the road.
Maybe, maybe.
Thanks again for taking the time to meet with me.
You got it. You got it, man. Talk
All
to
right,
you soon.
Chad.
You
We'll
got it.
see you
Bye.
later.